And you look back and say, "Oh, I made it." So, did I answer that question for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
As an adult, does your feelings still get hurt sometimes?
Yes. Yes, all the time. As an adult, do I handle it like an adult all the time? No. Sometimes sometimes I snap back. You know what I'm saying? Um, and that's the thing, a weakness that I have to work on all the time is I'm very sensitive. Um, and so if someone hurts my feelings or says something, it quickens real quick. But I have someone on the inside of me that helps me to bring it back into focus and say, okay, let that pass. You know, where I used to, if you said something negative, I bounce right back on you. Um, that was my defense mechanism because I didn't want anybody to know that you'd hurt my feelings. I didn't want anybody to know I was weak. So I pretended that I was stronger than what I really was. Now I'm not pretending. I'm really a strong person, right, Lisa?
So do you believe that people as adults can still be sensitive inside?
As adults can be sensitive. I think all adults are sensitive. We just put on a face sometimes, but I think all adults are sensitive. Um, some more than others. Some more than others. Because I might show you that I care more so than someone else. They might not show you, but they might care even more than I do. They just have a different way of showing you. I'll take students for example. Some students, I used to look at some students and think, God, they need to go home and stay. But then I would watch another instructor, and they had all the patience in the world with that student. And I'm like, what in the world's wrong with me then? Because I just want them to go home. Just, they won't listen, they won't do this, they won't turn the work in, they won't make the hours. And then I started looking back at the students myself and realized that students are just like adults. You have problems too. You have situations too. And we don't always know what your situation is. I was in a car with my daughter the weekend when my son was in the fourth grade. His teacher invited me to lunch, and after lunch, she put this record on, The Wiz. And she would walk around that room and touch every child on their head. They had put their heads down, and she would touch them and just touch each child ever so lightly. And I thought, oh my God, she's calming them after recess, and she's getting them prepared for. They don't even know it, they don't even know what's happening here. So I went out and bought the record, and I made my children every night before bed. I played that record. And do you know, the other day I asked my daughter if she remembered that song, and she stuck it in the tape player and played it. And it almost brought tears to me, and she sang it. So when we're doing things with our students, we never know how we're going to influence you later on in life. We just don't know. One touch, one kind word, we just don't know. So I don't look at students like I used to. And even in the public schools, and I worked in the public schools, I remember somebody asked me one day about a child, and I couldn't tell them anything about that child that day. So I purposed in my heart, from now on, we had 30 students. I was going to look at every one of those children when they came through the door or sometime during the day. I was going to make it my business to interact with all 30 of those children, because that's part of being a teacher. You have to know the total person, not just the brain power up here, but the total person.
So, Ann, do you think, looking back over the years, have things changed for the better in terms of the way the world is today, or do you think that there are things that are better than they used to be or worse than they used to be?
I don't want to sound negative, but I want to be honest. When integration first happened, um, I never thought it was a good thing. I didn't think it was a good thing because when I was going to school, we had wonderful teachers. And our teachers really cared about us. They knew our families. They visited our homes. If you were outside playing and you saw 3 teachers together, you thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Because these teachers, they actually had a certain time that they went to your homes. Um, and I remember I admired my teachers' handwritings. I admired the way my teachers dressed. There was so much about when I came up, the teaching profession was it. No mind the doctors and the lawyers and Indian chiefs, give me a teacher. So then they integrated, and everybody was saying, well, it's going to be better because when I was in school, believe it or not, we paid student fee and we paid book fee. But the black kids got the books that were sent over from the white schools, and they were already damaged. Some of them, the pages falling out, some of them, the backs off of them. But believe it or not, at the end of the school year, we had to pay damage fee. I never thought that was fair. I never thought it was fair. So my whole thing was, if you keep them separate, but fair. Give the black kids the same opportunities, give them the same materials, new just like anybody else, and watch it. You know, we would still get a good education. But integration happened. And so I think a lot of good came out of it. You know, had it not happened, I wouldn't know Lisa. I wouldn't know Lisa's heart. I wouldn't know your heart. So I think good stuff came out of it. Good things happened. But as far as the black kids, I feel like they would have been better off staying in our environment and being taught by the people who understood our culture. We lost a lot. We lost a lot because we used to have dance groups. We used to focus on, if a child couldn't learn academically, they had talent. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So they might be able to work with their hands and work with their feet and not be able to, they might not be able to do algebra, but they could do something. Build a car, do something. And I think we lost a lot of that. We lost a lot of that, of our own culture. And so there's good to say from it, and then there's not so good. Like, I came up in the era where we drank out of the black fountain, and you didn't drink out of the white fountain. I rode the bus where you could get on in the front of the bus, but you had to go all the way to the back, and if there was all the seats in the back were filled, and all the seats in the front were empty, you still couldn't sit down. You had to stay behind that bar. So I grew up in that era. And we walked to school, but to me it was fun. I didn't know any different. I just knew that the white kids would ride by and call us names, and they were on the bus. But we called them names back, and we thought it was funny and fun. So we didn't really realize what was going on there. I think they might have had schools in the country, in the counties and stuff like that. They might have buses, but I walked from, I don't know if you all know where Slocum and those streets back on the other side of Slocum all the way down to West Elm. We walked, but it was fun. You got to be with your buddies and talk, and that's the first time I learned a cuss word. Walking with my buddies, and they talking about this stuff, and what are you talking about? And they would tell me, but we learned a whole lot of stuff on the way to school. Do I think we should go back? No. I think we should put all this stuff aside and realize that we were all made by the same creator. And that just like Ashley and I are different. We're both black, but we're different. You and Lisa are white, but you're different. But it doesn't make you any less than the other one. We're all the same. We look different, but we still have the same heartbeat. I mean, yours is a little stronger than mine at this point. I'm older. I think that in a way it was good, in a way not so good. Because there's still a lot of unfairness.
I was just gonna ask you that, if you thought, you know, even though we've gone from a time where there were water fountains that had signs that said for coloreds only, and now we have an African American president, is there less racism now than there was then?
No, no. Because even though we have an African American president, the respect for him is not there, you know. And a lot of people had to have voted for him, but I don't think that they really truly, I think the bigotry and the hatred is so strong in this country that it overrides the good people who really want to see a change and allow the change to happen. I think we're so full of hatred that we don't care if this country fails as long as our hatred gets fed. Does that make sense? I hate that, but that's the way I see it. I really see it. I think that our president could effect the change, not on his own, because none of the rest of them could do it on their own. But I think that everything he has proposed, be it right or wrong, has been shot down. So he hasn't had a chance. He was not given a chance for anything to work. That's my opinion. And now I think we're at the point where, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? You know, I don't know if we have anybody that can lead this country. Do you? I mean, I know I'm being interviewed, but I really don't. Do you?
No.
I'm really sad for where we are.